Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. Happy Monday. I swear, Monday has so many good qualities, but there's nothing like the other days of the week too. Okay, what I'm saying is I feel like each day of the week has its own personality, and I really do appreciate each of the personalities for what they bring. So Monday is like a restart. It's a clean slate. We can take the week however we wish. Tuesday, what kind of Tuesday? Let's skip Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday is still good. I feel like Tuesday is like your productive day. Tuesday is where you actually work. Like Monday is responding to emails, getting a game plan, and just like trying to catch up from the weekend. Tuesday is your actual productive day. Wednesday's personality is like kind of half full, positive, right? Like almost to the weekend. Thursday is, I don't know. Listen, the personalities I'm mostly focused about is like Friday night personality. It's like snuggling up on the couch. Anyways, that for me, like I love to do that on a Friday. Saturday, like going out with friends or shopping or like doing those things. And then Sunday, like more restorative, staying in. That's my favorite. I don't like planning things on a Sunday. I would rather stay in, prepare for my upcoming Monday, prepare for the week ahead. And it's crazy to think that like I look forward to Mondays and look forward to Sundays. Where in the past, like I might have got the Sunday scaries where I was worried what was going to be lurking on a Monday. But now I feel like I've just like set up my life in a way that makes me excited to come back on a Monday, excited to like get things rolling. And this week is no different. I feel like the previous weekend, not this last weekend, but the previous weekend was like really hustle bustle. We had a couple family things. We had our anniversary, and like I was drained that following Monday. And in comparison to like this past weekend, I was able to like recharge in a way that is really impactful for my upcoming week. And I was just taking care of myself. I finally finished The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I know it has taken me way longer. There was 8 episodes. It took me way longer than 8 weeks, but I watched it. I enjoyed it. I did see like a couple spoilers, like of course, because I'm on social media. Like one of the big ones being like the cake. I thought she served the cake to her friends, but she served it to her family. And if you haven't watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, there's a scene where one of the moms, Whitney, she is announcing her pregnancy to her family, and she put the pregnancy test inside this really, really cute, beautiful cake, right? And what is bizarre to me, I was watching this like super late. It was like 11 o'clock. I like to stay up on the weekends if it's on my couch, right? And I'm watching it, and I see her mom with the pregnancy stick in her hand, like looking at it, and then she licked her fingers from the icing. I texted my own mother. I was like, Stephanie, you are kidding. And because I'd been keeping her updated, she watched it like pretty quick, like in a week, so it was no spoilers on my part. But I was like, Mom, you like, this is so crazy. I saw people talking about it, but her mom licked her fingers of the pregnancy test, and that is absolutely so crazy. But I don't know, like, would I do that? Probably not. I wouldn't want like the pregnancy stick to get, I don't know, wrecked. I think some people like keep their stick. I don't know. But I finally finished that. And what made it even sweeter is I did like a little Target run before I watched it, because I want to get into the mood. I want to be comfy. I want to have my pajamas. I want to have my beverages. And I really look forward to the nights where I have that alone time and I can focus 1,010% on the show at hand, whatever I'm watching. Since we're going into the fall and winter season, like there are the Christmas classics, and I feel like I don't get into the mood, or I'm not really capturing the essence of the movie if I don't have 100% of my focus on it. Like if I am looking at other things like on my phone, or I'm doing other projects. And so I really try to just dial down and watch it. And I love to have my snacks. And recently I have been having a craving for the gummy candy. I'm not really keen on chocolate. Like chocolate is not what I reach for when I want a snack, although the True Fruit is so good. The blueberry and the white chocolate, that is so good. It reminds me of something from my childhood and I cannot place it, but those are so good. But when I was a kid, I would grab for things like Starburst or Skittles or gummy bears, Sour Patch Kids. Like those were my favorite. And as an adult, like that's not something that I eat as often or at all, honestly. I think the last time I had candy, like actual candy, Garrett and I went to see Dune, and it was at like one of the big theaters, and I got a splitting headache in the middle of the movie. It was the worst migraine I've ever had in my entire life. We had to drive home with no music on, the AC blasting because I was so nauseous. My head was throbbing, and the only thing that I can account for it was I had nerd clusters. And I was like, man, maybe it was a lack of water, maybe it was a red 40, I don't know, but I can and I didn't eat candy that often before, but like now, oh heck no. But I would do the Smart Sweets, and I do like those. Sometimes like we went to a movie on the lawn and I packed a little picnic and we had the Smart Sweets there with some kettle corn popcorn, right? Like that's my vibe. That's what I like to munch on. And Smart Sweets, if you've ever bought them, like they're a little pricey. It's like 1.28 ounces for $4. Okay. In comparison to like regular sugary candy, it's like 99 cents. Okay. You get a half a pound. So the difference is crazy. But this last time I went to Target, I found a candy that I hadn't like noticed before, or maybe it's because usually I grab the Smart Sweets in the candy section, like right before you check out, and not actually like in the store, the entire aisle of candy. So I go down the aisle, I'm looking for like a treat. I'm looking for a treat, a healthy treat. And I was thinking that maybe they had additional Smart Sweets, not just the Swedish Fish or the peach rings in this aisle. So I go down, and I'm so glad that I did, because there was a candy there called Joyride. I have never bought this candy before, but what drew me was they had watermelon slices. I was like, I love sour watermelon candy. Like it is so good. And I looked at the bag and it was around $3.99. So $4 for like 4 ounces. So 4 times the amount that a Smart Sweet has. And I wasn't sure if it was going to like be gross or not, but there wasn't many bags like in the like little slot. Most of them were gone. There was only like 2 watermelon slices and then like 5 cherry ropes, but they're from Joyride as well. And I love the cherry ropes that have like the powdered cherry flavoring on the inside. But again, I have been avoiding any sort of red colored candy because that headache was the worst headache. And I don't know what actually it was caused by, but I never want to experience it again. So I picked up 2 of them, of the Joyride flavor, and then I also like picked up the other 2 bags. And of course, these have a lot of fiber in them, so I'm like taking a little bit from each bag. I didn't finish all of the bags or anything, but when I got home and I'm watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and I'm pulling out my candy, I first did the Smart Sweet, right? Like this is what I'm used to. So I did the Swedish fish and I did the peach ring. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, those are good. I know they're good. I opened a pack of the watermelon joyride, and let me tell you, it was so much softer, more sour, and just like a really juicy flavor. Holy smokes, it was so good. I really had to like go put the bags up in the pantry because I had to remind myself, I'm like, all right, this is a lot of fiber. And then the cherry rope from Joyride was not it was too much of the almost like licorice cherry flavoring and not like the dry powder on the inside. So I did not like those as much. But again, it's alternative candy, so I can feel better about myself. And then, of course, I had my little Olipop. So it was a good night. Like, I found a new candy that I absolutely love. I finished off Mormon Wives. They have announced the second season, so I'm excited for that as well. And I'm just glad that I took the time to relax and recuperate before this upcoming week, because I feel like I've just been nonstop go in preparation for our Golden Gala happening November 9th. So I have been coordinating things and getting the decorations together and making sure that our vendors are right and making sure that we have all the things that we need, all the details. And it is so much fun. It just takes a lot of brain energy. And I've actually had like a couple nightmares the last, I want to say, week. These are like the go to school without your homework done kind of dreams, where it's not really like spooky, but I am like kind of in a state of anxiety, like in my dream, where I'm not having things done. I had an event last Sunday. It was a little yoga, a witchy yoga. And as I was preparing on Saturday, I was trying to think, okay, so Saturday night, I go to bed preparing for Sunday for the event. And that night I had a dream that I accidentally missed my event. I didn't get there until 5:00. The event was at 1:00, and it was just like, it's the same feeling of not having your homework when it was due, right? And, or not having any clothes and giving a preparation, like a speech or whatever. So that's what I've been doing, like every single night, just psyching myself out of like, oh, you forgot to pay the vendor, or oh, you forgot to organize this. Oh, like you're not ready, you're late. And so I've just been trying to figure out like how to get my brain to feel prepared. Like I've been writing notes to myself of saying, okay, like we have this done, we have this done, we have this done. These are the things on the list, but they'll get completed because of XYZ, right? Like just trying to prepare my mentality, prepare my brain, because it's just around the corner and I cannot believe it. I'm so excited. And I have like a couple things planned for the gals, but of course, like, because it is this big event, because I have vendors, because I have sponsors, I'm like, how can I make this as smooth and seamless as possible? And how my brain works is I'm always wanting to add something else. So I'm like, oh, that's a great idea, I should add it. Or, oh, what about this, right? Like I constantly am evolving and trying to just like make it the best it can be. So that's what's been going on in my mind. I will say this past week, like I did get to hang out with a couple of my friends. Tuesday was the Victoria's Secret fashion show. I don't know why I can't speak. I think it's because I was just thinking about my dreams and it amped up my like anxiousness of, oh gosh, like I need to get things done right now. I'm going to chill. Take a deep breath. Here we are. So on Tuesday, I got to relax with some of my friends and we watched the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and I have some notes. So one, it was so exciting to be with my friends. Hannah hosted and we're all at her apartment, which it was kind of bittersweet because she is about to move into a house. She's a homeowner now. And so it was like kind of this bittersweet kind of situation. It's like, oh, gosh, like she's about to move out and start a new chapter. And we all brought like our own snacks. So I made a pumpkin snickerdoodle cookie that I've never tried before. It turned out really, really good. I will say the cookies were extra soft. I did put like some extra pumpkin in there. I don't know if I just didn't add enough flour or if it was because I didn't even hardly mix it that much, but I did accidentally put baking soda, baking powder, and cream of tartar when it only called for baking powder and cream of tartar. I just saw like the 1 teaspoon for both and figured it was baking soda and baking soda and the other one that I just forgot, baking powder, sorry. And so they were like more cake-like, and I don't know if it's because it just expanded a lot or what, but they were really good. I was happy with myself, and we had pizza and snacks and kettle corn popcorn. I love kettle corn. And we all sat on the couch and we hung out and we watched the fashion show, which I have not watched it in so long, and you kind of forget like what is going on. But you still have like a feeling, you still have like a nostalgic feeling about it. And for the opening, I was like, okay, like this is going to be so nostalgic. Like there are so many things that like I loved about the Victoria's Secret fashion show. It was also like very much part of my childhood. Like Victoria's Secret was at its peak. I remember like buying my first real bras from there or sweatpants and like thinking it was so cool and amazing, or underwear, or like any of the things. And so we settled into the couch, and right off the bat, the stage just like felt so weird. I felt like it was a auditorium. Like the first words out of my mouth were like, are they in bleachers? Because it did look like it was bleachers. And I didn't know if the stage was like so much bigger. So I was thinking that there was going to be like a lot of people there. But I felt like the attendance was low. Like there wasn't as many people in the crowd. And so as we watched it, of course, like the girls are beautiful and their outfits were nice. I did notice like a couple of the wings were kind of like wobbly. And so they would have their wings kind of like flopping. One girl, hers was like a little lopsided. I will say like the wings were unique in the way that like they weren't all like the fluffy wings. In the past, like they've been like flowers or a different variety of angel wings. And like this year there was a lot of more like abstract wings. Like one said like Victoria's Secret. It was like scrolled out. Another one was like a bit of wire. And so it was fun to look at, right? I would rather have a Victoria's Secret show than not to have a Victoria's Secret show. I do feel like I didn't get to see the models as much. Like I feel like in the past the camera has been on them more, but I feel like it was so quick. Like there was this one model, oh my gosh, I don't know her name, but her like it reminded me of the TikTok sound. It was like attitude and walk off. Like she was kind of like mad. Like she walked on and it was so quick, and I didn't even get to see her like for longer because she had already like the cameraman cut. And I don't know if it's because like she was in a bad mood or what, but I just feel like we got to see them walk on and kind of like off the stage. And this year it was like kind of choppy. So I didn't really like that either. I don't know, like the music was good, but in the past like there's been so much better musicians playing. I think that it's just like a fun event, and I don't know if anybody was actually having fun. Like I feel like the models took it super serious, and in the past there's like been more smiling. I will say like Bella Hadid at the very end, like there was like one moment she like broke out and smiled and she looked like happy, and then she went immediately back to like her like serious model walk. And I don't know if that was like something that they told everybody that they wanted them to be like serious model walks. And right after we watched the last Victoria's Secret show, so the one in 2017, we pulled it up, and let me tell you, the energy was totally different. The models were like bubbly and happy and excited and just like really loved to be there, which I don't doubt that the models today, like, I didn't want to be there, but the energy was like totally different. The outfits were more elaborate. And I get that Victoria's Secret is not making the sales that they used to in the past. Like I totally get that. But the energy was different. Like people were not smiling as much. Like I just feel like they were having so much fun on stage. I don't know if it was the energy in the room. I don't know if it was the musicians. Cher, of course, lovely. I love Cher. She's so iconic. Like there are several like movies and her music. Like I love that. But I do think she was lip syncing, and I feel like that almost takes away from the production, because it's almost like a live concert. And if we go back and look at like Harry Styles, his was like a concert. Like it was loud. It was fun. Like it was just really, really fun energy. And I again, like I did enjoy the Victoria's Secret fashion show. I really, truly did. I would rather have one than not have one. I loved the inclusivity. I loved seeing like Kate Moss and the like different stages of life that some of the models were in. Like I thought that was awesome. And overall, like it was good. It brought back so many good memories. And of course, just like hanging out with my friends after such like a crazy weekend, and like running around and just having that like time to veg out in front of the TV. Chef's kiss. It is my favorite thing. So, but my overall peak of the week was when I went thrift shopping. Guys, you know, I love a good thrift shop. Of course, like buying things from a department store or ordering is really nice, but I like the hunt. I like to go and see if I can find anything, that just like makes me happy, or it is unique and I feel like adds to my home. And guys, about 2 months ago, I was with Garrett and we were at a antique store. This was a huge antique store. It has 2 furniture barns with like dressers and huge what's it called? China cabinets, and like just a ton of stuff. Tables, chairs, huge, like good furniture, like heavy furniture, tons of antiques, like in the separate building. Like there's 3 buildings, all have like all sorts of crazy things. And as we were walking in one of the furniture barns, there was like a rack of miscellaneous items. I got like a little Christmas tree that you can put like a little tea light on the inside. And then the other thing I found was this little goose. It was little, probably like almost a palm and a half, like not very big. It was like this terracotta red, and it was a wall hanging. Like it might have been hand painted, but it's hand painted like in a very cute way. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, like that is so cute, so girly. And it would be perfect for a future girls' room. I was like, oh, that's cute. Like that's something I want to pick up. Like I might not be able to find it in the future. So like I want it now. And I bought it. It was $1. I was like, heck yeah. Like it's wooden. It's good. I'm going to buy it. And this past week I went to a different thrift store, totally different brand, different place. And I went in, and I was going and I was looking. I went there for like to see if I could find a stand for my plant. And I ended up like finding a goose similar. But this goose wasn't just like flat. This goose, her neck kind of popped out 3D, and she had like a little bow attached to her. And I looked at her and I was like, man, like I think this might match the one I have at home. And so I bought it. It was $2, but it was half price because they were running a 50% off everything in the store sale. And so I picked it up, I brought it home, and I went to the closet where I stashed the other one. Guys, this is a match. It is a mom and a baby goose. They had the same color paint. Like I said, this was hand painted, and this mom was looking for her baby goose. I cannot believe that I found it from 2 different thrift shops 2 months apart. Like, I am so seriously flabbergasted. I felt like it was meant for me, right? And it was a moment where I was scanning the shelves and I wasn't actually I was just about to leave and I felt it. I was like, oh my gosh, I looked and I looked down, not eye level. I kind of crouched down where I'd previously passed over. I was like, oh, you have got to be kidding me. And I didn't know how big of a find it was until I actually got home. But the color paint is insane. It's a maroon, mauve, settled down red. I don't know. It is a very unique color. And these don't have the same exact design. And also one goose's head pokes out at you and the other one's flat and it goes against your wall. But they are a pair. And I seriously, I feel like the luckiest girl in the world. And I'm so grateful for that. My entire mind was blown. It's one thing to find a match at a thrift store in the same day, right? When they just got moved shelf to shelf, but to be over, this was when Brooklyn came to do sourdough. It's been a long time. I am so beside myself. I'm so proud of myself. And I just felt like I was meant to find both of these pieces. So they are in storage. Maybe one day I will get them out. But I felt like it was this amazing, amazing thrift store find. And I'm so excited. That is my peak. Okay. Now my pet of the week, I was looking for a plant stand. Okay. So it's cold. We had frost on the grounds a couple days ago. So I've pulled in my monstera. I split my monstera up into 5 different plants this past spring. She's done great. She has bloomed. This was definitely a cut back year, and she had some leaves that weren't very pretty. I kind of didn't water her last year so that we could go through a purge cycle, get rid of some of those older leaves, and she's looking beautiful. Okay. I have 3 pots now. I gifted 2 and I have 3 of them. And let me tell you, they are doing great. I brought them in though, because I thought it'd be cold. And I also brought in it's a ponytail palm. Super, super cute. I got it from my friend's plant shop in Blue Springs. I love it. It reed and rooted, but it's this really, really cute plant. And it's been outside next to our patio furniture. It looked great. I brought it inside. And both of my plants inside must have had some spiders in them, because I kid you not, in my office where my monstera is, I found 2 spiders. In my kitchen where my ponytail palm was, I found another spider. And I'm like, what if they had hatched eggs? What if there was eggs in there? So now I'm freaking out, because it's pretty normal for me to pull in my outdoor plants inside. And I feel like because both of those are more tropical plants, they do really, really well in the hot weather. They thrive. They love it. But now I'm kind of scared because I've had so many spiders that I've had to, dispose of, which is really, really depressing. But, so I don't know if I'd recommend that. I will say, maybe last year or the year before, I accidentally brought in a nest of ants. It was, again, an outdoor plant to an inside plant, because it was winter, because I had to pull it in. So I don't know if I need to start doing a quarantine situation where I put them in the garage for a little bit and then bring them into my house. But I seriously, no more bugs. I am over it. I would love it if, they just bury in and start to hibernate before I put them outside again. But I will say, a little bit of reverse psychology because I've ripped out my zinnias like a couple months or months. Oh my gosh, not a couple months. Like a couple of weeks ago, I pulled out all of the zinnias that they're carcasses, right? Like the dead plants. And, now that I've pulled in all of my outdoor plants, Garrett's like, oh, it's looking a little bare. Like, I think we should go to the pumpkin patch and buy some mums. And I was like, you are kidding me. Like, what? Hey, I hope that you're enjoying today's podcast episode. Just a quick interruption to let you know that the Golden Hour Drip podcast has a monthly newsletter. You'll find podcast updates, upcoming events and information, and bonus content. If you haven't already, click the link in the show notes and join today. Now, back to the show. I was like, oh, you don't have to tell me twice. Like, we will get the decorations. We will do the decor. And I've been with Garrett for the last 8 years. And it's taken this long to, get him to not really appreciate, just get him in the mindset that he also wants to decorate, right? Like, because I know it doesn't come like super natural for him, but to have him just like nice things or like how our home looks or even want to go to the pumpkin patch, right? Like he could have said, hey, why don't you go pick up some mums so that it covers like the empty space where you ripped out all the zinnias. But instead he was like, hey, do you want to go to the pumpkin patch? Do you want to go get some mums and some pumpkins to fill this space? Because I asked him, I was like, why do you want to go to the pumpkin patch? And he was like, well, I think it would look nice if we had some pumpkins and some mums. And I was like, oh, sign me up. Absolutely. I would love to do that. Right. And it reminded me, I forget when, but I saw this video on social media and it's this dad in the car with a mom and his wife and the kids. And she's like, we're off to go to the pumpkin patch. And he's like, yay. I love going to the pumpkin patch and spending the whole day with my family, like totally deadpanned. Their young children are in the back. And I just couldn't help but think, oh my gosh, like how rude, like how insanely crazy is it to be where you are just like kind of being a brat in front of your children? Like I hate it when adults involve children in adult things. Like if you have a problem, if you are, upset at your spouse because you have to go to the pumpkin patch, like I don't care. Like the children only get one childhood, right? Like they only get to be a child for a short period of time. Like a true kid is like 9, right? And 9 is like an old kid. Because then they start to be a preteen and then a teenager and it's a totally different dynamic, but they only get to be a kid for a short period, a short time. And it made me really, really sad to see someone with a partner who isn't excited about like just spending quality time together. And honestly, it was just like, it was like yucky feeling. And I hate it because I know exactly where that like woman was coming from. It can feel like there is nothing for you when you are pouring into other people and you have this like special thing and you want to do it and you want to take the time to organize an event or have your kids in the right clothes or whatever. Like I totally get it. I feel like we can all relate to wanting something to be special and then someone ruining it with like a poor mood where they're not as excited or they're just like bringing the entire room down. And I like scrolled past it and it just like made me a little bit more grateful for my own spouse because I find that like I don't know, with anything, like you forget to highlight the good sometimes where it's just like, oh, like this is bad or I hate this or whatever. But it just made me really appreciate my younger self of asking for what I wanted, like making sure that the qualifications that I had or the person that I wanted to be with was in a particular standard, I guess. Like when I think about it, and I get it, like not everybody is perfect, but when we're thinking about a partner, like you're not just thinking about the person that you're spending your life with, but if you do choose to have a family, you're choosing their parents, like you're choosing their childhood, you're choosing their family essentially. And I like go back to that all the time. I think about, oh gosh, like what if it had gone like a different way or anything, and it's turned out great, right? But I always go back to like asking for what you want. And sometimes it can be really, really difficult to like make it apparent of like how you want to be treated or how you want to spend your time or the goals that you have. And it can be hard to have those conversations with people. I try to do it as much as possible, like even if it seems like a little silly on asking for what I want. This past week, I went to grab coffee with a friend and I got there a little early. And as I ordered my breakfast, there was a long line. So I had time to like think about it. Right. And I wanted a coffee. I like a hot coffee, especially if it was like a little cold out. Right. And I haven't had it for a really long time, but I was like, I want it to be a latte, a breve, which is with half and half. And I also want to add pumpkin spice. And so I asked for those things. And then, which is kind of different, right? Like a pumpkin spice latte, but use half and half. That's very specific, right? That's not just like a number one or a number two or whatever. And then I asked for a bagel, and I never think that there is enough cream cheese. And I asked for double cream cheese. I was like, can I get a bagel with double cream cheese? And that was hard. Like, it seems so simple. It seems like, yeah, just like place your order. But when you get up there, and if you have an inkling of social anxiety or just like asking for what you want, like that fear of rejection can be like strong. And so just like putting yourself in those situations where you practice articulating exactly what you want, even if it's as silly as exactly how you want your latte or a double cream cheese with your bagel, like it's doing the things that are exactly what you want, because all you have to do is ask. If you ask, the worst they can say is no. And if they say no, then you realize, hey, like this isn't a relationship I want. This isn't a barista that I want. Like, I'm not going to come to this coffee shop anymore or whatever. Like, you get to determine your future. You ask for what you want. And if people can't deliver, it's your choice to stay in that cycle, to stay in that situation, and to accept it. You get to choose how people treat you. And I think about this and I go back to it constantly of what am I choosing? What am I choosing in my routine? What am I choosing in my hobbies? What am I choosing in my life? And sometimes it's even like, how am I treating myself? Like, what am I choosing for myself? Is it helpful? Is it productive? Is it going to propel me in the direction that I want to go? And it's not always comfortable, right? Like, it's not always easy to evaluate what you actually want in comparison to like what people want to serve you. But if you can do like simple little things and put yourself under the pressure, because we're not ever going to change without pressure. We have to have those external forces that are going to make you change. This past week, I was preparing these little goodie bags for my gala, right? And they have this little, I'm not explaining this very well. I have like these cotton bags and I think they're so cute. I have a couple of them and I just think they're really fun and versatile. I usually throw like everything in them. And what makes them really, really amazing is like my tripod can fit in them. I like that. I like it when my billfold fits in there, my phone, my camera. Everything can fit in these little tote bags. And I am making some for the Golden Gala. And I got this like transfer paper, right? Like it's it's almost like a Cricut, but I didn't Cricut it. I had someone else Cricut it for me and I'm doing the heat transfers. And so my first heat transfer, I iron out the bag, I make it nice and toasty, I put the applique down, and I start to move the iron on it. But I'm thinking back in my head, like, when was the last time I did this? When was the last time I applied an iron to an applique? And when I think about it, it was like, oh, like for our shirts on the, we have a family float trip every single year. For the float trip, we normally like do tie-dye shirts. And this year we had like a little emblem to honor my cousin on like the breast pocket. And so I'm ironing them on with my sister Lily, and I remember like it getting too hot and like melting the transfer paper a little bit. And so in my head, I don't want to do that. Like, and I'm being overly cautious. I'm like, ooh, checking it. And the first bag, I will say it's wrecked. I cannot use it at all. It kind of problematic, but it like the letters did not transfer. It was still like stuck to the transfer paper. Quite ugly. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. And I was like, all right, that's all right. I'll try on the second one. And the second one, I told myself, hold the iron a little bit longer. I don't think it's like melting properly. So I'm like working up the courage to melt it on the bag a little bit longer. I'm like moving it. I'm like, okay, like I don't want to melt it too much, because in my head, I'm like, what if the transfer paper like melts to the actual cricketed part for the vinyl? Oh my gosh, what if it melts to the vinyl melts to the transfer paper, and I actually can't get it off the bag? That's what I'm thinking in my head. And the second one went better. At least all the words are on. And I peeled off the transfer paper, then put down some of my parchment paper that I used for baking, and I like pressed it down even more to like melt it. And by the third one, I realized, I'm telling myself, you know what? We've already wrecked one. What happens if we wreck another one? It will be okay. So I put my iron down and I hold it. I count, because I remember that we have ironed before, but we have like a press, and the press will hold it for longer. Like I was thinking back to when I was getting married, and Lily helped me do all of the robes, the bridesmaid robes. And as I was doing it, I remember it counting down from like 15 seconds. So I told myself, I was like, all right, we are going to press and hold this down. It's going to melt it. And the thing about my iron is it's old. It's super, super old. I didn't purchase it. I found it at my dad's house, and it's like busted. It has like a little nozzle on it. I don't know. It doesn't say the exact temperature. And so when I use it, I don't want to burn my fabric, right? I remember in, second grade, when my sister and brother and we were all in the same grade, but we had FCS class. And I remember my brother making a pillowcase and accidentally burning the fabric. Okay, that's not something I want to do. So I was like, I'm not going to burn the fabric, but I wanted to hold it long enough. And I counted to 20. Extra 5 for good luck. And I pull up the iron and I let it cool, and I peeled it off, and it was perfect. It was perfect. I was like, I was so worried about the vinyl being underneath the heat, but that's what it needed. It needed more time to cook. It needed more time under the pressure, so then it could actually adhere to the fabric. And then like I'd be able to pull the transfer paper off perfectly. I was so scared though. I didn't want it to burn. I was thinking about all the things that could go wrong and not all the things that could go right. Sometimes we're going to be under pressure. We either can put ourselves in that pressurized situation, or we can have someone else put us in the pressure cooker where we're just like uncomfortable. It wasn't our choice. And you can continuously think, how can I get out of this? I don't want to stay in this uncomfortability. And like, you might miss the growth point. You might miss like why you're in the pressure cooker or why things are going the way that they are, because pressure is not bad. Pressure to do well is good. if we think about like diamonds, I know they always compare it. They're like, oh, like a diamond formed under pressure. An oyster forms a pearl under distress. I get it. Okay. It's not fun though. Like, it's not fun to be stressed out. It's not fun to be put in a pressurized situation where you're unsure the outcome. And it's when change occurs, and change can be scary, where you think, oh my gosh, like, can I actually do this? Or what will it mean for me? Or do I have to like, oh, like, it can be scary, but pressure is not pointless. Like, we need pressure to change. And if we didn't have that little kick in our tush, then we wouldn't be put on the path that we were meant to be on. We wouldn't be where we need to go, because we would just stay in this comfortable little bubble. We would just like glaze in life. And that's not what life is about. Life is about challenging your entire system. It's about growing. It's about getting better every single day and connecting and all those great, amazing things that why we love life. And as I was like melting this plastic, I'm like, why am I scared? Like, why was I scared to do this? And I think sometimes it's because failure can be ostracized, of like, oh, they tried this thing and it didn't work out, right? And nobody wants to be kicked out of the tribe. Like, it's always good. It goes back to like our very primitive brain, where if you do something wrong or you are an outcast, then you get kicked out of your community. You have to live alone, and being alone is scary because you can't protect yourself as well from predators. You might be cold. There's not the community. Like, we literally need people to talk. And so now, like, in our current brain, like, we don't want to be kicked out of the tribe. We want people to like us. We want to be able to stay in the community. And so I think that's why like failure is as scary as it is, because it's not really failing. Like, nobody takes away your birthday if you fail at something, right? Like, I totally wrecked a tote bag, and yeah, that sucked, but guess what? Like, I can make another tote bag. I can move on. Like, it's okay. And it's just realizing that you're going to make mistakes. Some of them are going to be worse than others, but the pressure of making the mistake, or even like taking the outcome of like how people react to your mistake, can be helpful, because instead of like thinking, oh my gosh, like I messed up, thinking, oh gosh, like, how can I do better for next time? So I can do better by letting my iron melt the plastic a little bit, and knowing that like when things are pushing you in a different direction, it might be because you need to go down that path. I was driving to yoga. I filled in for a class on Wednesday, and I notice on my little screen, I don't know why, but I always plug in my GPS. And since my calendar told me, it was like, oh, you teach at 6:30. I was like, all right, like, I just click the notification, it'll pull it up. And I like knowing my ETA, right? Like, I like seeing that. I think it's helpful when it like pops up speed trap or whatever, right? And as I'm going, it shows the time like increased, and I was like, oh, what's that? Like, I hate it when my GPS time increases. Like, I'm not driving slow, like I'm driving the speed limit, and I noticed like a little bit of red, and it's wanting to take me on a road that is like before my regular exit. And it's also added a couple minutes. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like, it's messing up. Like, it's trying to take me on a route that is wrong. And that's why it's like added this time, because it's not the route that I should be taking. So I look at it and I really think, I'm like, oh, maybe I need to take this exit. Maybe I don't. And I skipped the exit that the GPS was suggesting to me. And I go a little bit farther, and I'm on an incline of the hill. And then I noticed what the GPS was actually talking about. There was an accident. So it was back-to-back traffic. So annoying. And it added not just like 3 minutes. Now it added a whole like 10 minutes to my ETA. And now I'm going to be late, which is unfortunate because I'm the instructor. Not late to the class, but late to like the check-in period. So I get there 30 minutes before class to make sure I check everyone in, to prepare my room. Like, I'm not actually late for the actual class. I'm late for the like little pre-period But I'm like stressing out because instead of 30 minutes before class, now I'm only going to have 20 minutes. And if a student gets there early, like I'm not there, like I need to be there. So I'm kicking myself and I'm thinking, why didn't I just listen to the GPS? Why didn't I just take the first exit like it was telling me? And it's because I thought I knew better. I was like, oh no, my GPS is messing up. But I trust my GPS every other time to get me from point A to point B if I don't know where I'm going. And it does a great job. So why am I thinking, oh, like I know better than this GPS. I know better. Like it was trying to reroute me. It knew that everybody was slowing down and knew that it was going to add even more time. But instead, I was like, no, I'm going to trust myself. And sometimes like trusting your own intuition is really good. Like being able to lean on yourself is great. Like you want to be able to trust yourself. But sometimes it's like your selfish nature of like, no, I know better. Like, I know it's not this way. But if I had just followed it, I would have been like 3 minutes added to my early time. But instead I was like over 10 minutes late when originally it would have been 3 minutes. And that just a lesson was learned. I learned that I need to trust the GPS. And if it's telling me that there's an accident, which it wasn't, that's the thing. It was showing red on the exit. And I thought, oh, like it's showing red on the exit. No, it was just like not showing me the red above because the GPS thought that I would trust it and I would just go the way that I was supposed to go, but I didn't. So, sometimes like you're going to be pressured to do things and you think, oh gosh, like this is so uncomfortable or, you know, I've really messed up, but you have to ask yourself like, why? Like, why am I being put in this situation? Why was I, you know, late? Well, I should leave earlier, right? I had already left like late that day, like later than I usually do. It was off routine. And then I was like even more late because of the traffic. So it's like asking yourself, like, did I give myself enough time to prepare? No, I didn't. Like, if it's with your career or with your boss or with your family, like things are going to come up and it's all in how you react to it. And if you're going to have like positive intent around the reaction. So for me, like I always try to think like, what is this trying to teach me? What is this? How is this going to better me for the future? Instead of just thinking like, oh my gosh, this always happens to me. No, I always try to frame it in a way in my mind. It's serving me in some way. Like I am going to be like put on the right path. I'm going to be like put in the right direction because one, like when you think you are lucky, you are lucky. Things start to come your way. Bad company or what is it? Like bad mood or misery, that's what it's called. Misery loves company, where you are in a bad mood, like you bring everybody else down to your level, right? If someone's like in a grumpy mood, like they're commiserating with other people who are in a bad mood. Whereas you are happy and excited and you're like, oh, like this is working well for me, or this is what I'm learning, or this is how it's going to help me. Like people who want to be positive are going to be attracted to you because you're on the like positive outlook. This is not positive. Oh my gosh. This is not toxic positivity. That's the phrase I was looking for. Toxic positivity is like not allowing your emotions to be heard and just like stuffing them down. I think it is important to like experience your anger, experience your sadness, experience like your discomfort. Because when you are able to experience it, then you can process it and you can move on, right? And I find for myself, like if I can acknowledge it, like I was angry that I didn't take the exit I was supposed to take, that told me, and I was delayed even more. It wasn't a big deal. Like I got to my class and it was fine. It was a great class actually. But I was a little bit angry in the moment, right? Like I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But I could have stewed in that, or I could have shook it off and went to my yoga class and taught a really amazing class. If I would have stuck in the same negative mindset of thinking, oh gosh, like this always happens. Like I don't want to be that kind of person. I want to fill other people's cup with positivity and with wonder and bravery. Like I want to help people realize that they are just as amazing, that they can do hard things as well, right? And it's one thing to talk about something that you've been struggling with and showing like you on the other side. I always say like your struggle could be someone else's guide, someone else's like helpful toolkit to navigate like a similar situation. So I always try to be like very honest where I'm at, very honest in what I've been struggling with or what I've been working through, because I feel like when you can be honest about like what you're going through or the anxiety, like I talked about planning my event, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm a little nervous, like it's a big thing, like I'm doing all these like hard and premeditated, right? Like I gotta get it all together, like but I know that I'm going to move past it. Like I'm able to acknowledge the emotions and be like, oh yeah, you're a little stressed. Like, how can we fix this though? I talked about my notebook and like writing the things down and like having a checklist. I could just spiral and be like, we're canceling the event because I'm an amateur. No. I've done events before. Like I've hosted well over 20 events in the past year. I have built connections, like I've done all of these amazing things and I know that I can do it. I know this is like the next step, the next, what to do. And I'm not going to psych myself out because pressure is not bad. And being put in the situations where you have to grow and you have to dial down and you have to like really think about what is important and how you're going to excel. Like that's exciting. That's what makes me want to like wake up and get started on my day, get started on my Monday or talk with friends and just connect in that way. So I'm really excited for like what's coming down the pipeline for me. I'm excited for the end of my year and like the things that I've been working on. And although like I'm uncomfortable, like I am uncomfortable. I'm working very hard. I'm trying to balance it out with like nights in where I can chill and I can watch TV, watch my favorite show, have my little candy and balance it out with like the work. And I think having just like overall structure is so helpful. But as we're going into like winter, it does like always make me like a little spooked out because I think, oh gosh, like I don't want to lose this momentum. I don't want to like not be able to show up in the way that I want to show up, or it's like chillier, right? Like my feet and hands are usually cold anyways. And if you like read up on Chinese medicine, they like say it's not good, right? Talk about like a cold womb and our house has been like really cold. So I've been trying to do everything in my power to like warm it up. My heater died about a month ago and that has just been so sad. The worst day of my life. I haven't purchased a heater and like that's something that's on my list, my to-do list that I need to actually do, but I haven't taken the time to just like order one, which is so sad. It's crazy. It's like I personally like I work on my budget. And I only want to spend things that like I want to spend money on, and I'll make an impromptu purchase like nobody's business. Like I just got tickets to go see the Entitled Housewife. You've probably seen her on social media. It's so hilarious. But she does this like impression of an entitled housewife. And I love her stuff. I've been following her for a couple years and I love it. I love it so much. And I saw an ad. I was like, heck yeah, like she's coming to Kansas City. And I like clicked on it and I got a front row ticket. There was only one seat. I'm going by myself. It's totally random. I bought that last night, like instantaneous. I was like, oh, click. I was like, one seat left. It's meant to be, right? Like I'm trusting in like when things align to hop on it, because when you can appreciate the good things that come to you, like more good things come, right? Like my goose, and just like appreciating the luckiness. So I saw that like there was one seat left, dead center. I was like, I've got to have it. And I'll be going on a solo date by myself to this event, but it's good. It's fine. I like to do those things. I haven't done a solo date in a while, so that's good. And, but like in comparison to this heater that I've been thinking about like every single day for the past month, I really need to just order one, right? Like I just need to put it down. And it's usually the necessities that we like try to stretch over. We're like, oh, next week or the week after or whatever, right? No, I need to purchase one immediately because the return on it is so crazy. Like I'll be able to use this every single girl math. Okay. I'm going to order one right now, but, it's crazy. Like when we go into the winter, like when my body is cold, I don't want to get out of bed because it's cold. I don't want to go on a walk outside because it's cold. Right. And having that mindset of like, I don't want to be cold. It's horrible. But instead like framing it in a way that's like, oh, like how can I still remain energized into the winter? How can I set goals for myself? How can I like reframe this in a different mind? That just makes me feel overall better. So I'm feeling the pressure though, this week, this next 3 weeks, I'm going to feel the pressure and I'm welcoming it for all the growth that I'm going to have. So maybe you are too, and that's okay. We're in this together. So thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. If you liked it, make sure you rate, review, subscribe. Check us out on our website, Logan Lee Miller, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.